Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast. My name's Coach Scott. I'll be your host today. It is Friday, November 15th, halfway through November. I think, right? 30 days has September, April, June, and November. So we're halfway through. I always gotta do the rhyme. I always forget. A big day for us, big kind of, a lot going on this week. I've been really busy. It's one of those weird weeks where I feel like I had a lot to do, but I can't really remember. Sometimes I sit down here and I'm like, all right, I got a lot to do, where to start? And I don't even know where to start, but I got so much going on. I want to just kind of run down some of these things. First things first, Team Ordinary is doing awesome lately. You guys are just staying busy, doing races, despite the winter. We'll do the roll call in just a minute for the weekend. A lot of you guys staying busy. It's amazing. We did the Stephanie Brown profile on Monday. And I can't tell you how many good comments I got on the Stephanie Brown profile. I mean, she's got a great story. She finished her first half marathon last weekend, and a lot of you guys kind of reached out to me and said, "Hey, that was awesome that you did that. Her story was inspirational." So I think we're going to try to do more of that, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to try to pick a few of the the people who spent a lot of time doing their profile when they signed up for Team Ordinary. You can go to Team Ordinary. Anyone can sign up for Team Ordinary. Go to TeamOrdinary.com. You get the packet. I'm telling you, man, it's a good deal. It's a good deal. I'm not trying to make tons of money off of this. I just want to grow the community. And really, I got to be honest with you guys. I see the discussion group growing, and you guys are so supportive. The people that have joined the group have been so amazing. There's nothing I like more than waking up in the morning and going over the discussion board and seeing the names of people who I am not familiar with, who just joined the group recently, or someone, recommended the group to them. And they get up and they have the courage to kind of introduce themselves or talk about their training or their races, or they ask questions. And it's really great to see, because that's kind of what we wanted. That was the intention of the group from the beginning. And you guys are out there just, you guys are crushing it, and I don't have to moderate the board. The people are it's top notch, guys. Top notch. Let me tell you, I feel like we are the Park Avenue of running clubs for sure. And it's free. So anyway, go to TeamOrdinary.com if you haven't joined the team. And I'm going to list a couple people here that mentioned their races this upcoming weekend, that are not on Team Ordinary. But for the most part, if you're on Team Ordinary and you get your athlete profile page, that page I may read on the podcast, especially if you put time into it and you have a good story for us. If you have a crappy story, I mean, geez, I make myself laugh. No one has a crappy story. It's running. Everyone's got their own story. That's what is great about the sport, is everyone has a running story. You all have a reason why you do what you do. And you all have unique struggles, but they're similar in the same vein. We all fight the same fight. We all we have great background stories as to why we do what we do, and I'd love to hear them. And I'd love to just collect all the stories right on Team Ordinary. So check that out. And I may read your races. If you put your races on the race schedule, I may read your races. I try to read them all. If you put it on the schedule, I will read them on the podcast. And if if there's definitely a chance, if you upload your athlete profile, then I'll be reading it on the podcast as well, especially after all the great feedback we had from Stephanie Brown. So check that out. Anyway, if you're on the discussion board, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be reading your race, on the podcast. All right. So some people I will, because I notice them and I recognize them and I want to acknowledge them. But if you really want to be on the podcast and have your race read on the podcast, you have to join the team. It's the only way that's where I get the list from when I do the roll call every weekend. So just so you guys know. Also, just want to mention our YouTube channel. Obviously, we could use the help there. Just hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on the YouTube, it's down on this side. I think I finally figured it out. It's this side. It's a little red button, says subscribe. Hit that button. Could definitely use the subscriber there. Trying to build this thing out. I got a lot of ideas for videos in the future too. So definitely hit that button, and I appreciate that. It does help us out. Podcast too. If you're listening to the podcast we've had issues with Google Play lately. I'm sorry, Christian. You Canadians aren't, for whatever reason, it's not uploading in Canada. I think because I made fun of Glooscap. I think that's why. I think they flagged my podcast for making fun of Glooscap. But That's a town in Nova Scotia. If you're not up to, I'll bring you up to speed if you haven't been listening. But yeah, we've been having issues with Google. I think I finally got it solved. I'll see. I didn't have my computer up today. It's reloading because just stuff's going on. I've had it up to here with like computer issues the last year. Losing my hard drive a couple months ago was enough, right? Don't you think? I've kind of had enough. But anyway, another section of the TeamOrdinary.com page is our team deals page. We got a lot. I added another team deal to that. I just want to make you guys aware. So we have the Greasy Girl headbands deal. We get 20% off of Greasy Girl headbands. The Queen Bean coffee deal, you get 15% off. You have to go to a certain page, a certain section on their website, but 15% off of Queen Bean coffee. Keith Jones, that you were ready to get some Queen Bean coffee, but then the Giants lost, and now you're on Team Ordinary. That's the bet we made. Anyway, and we just added Xterra wetsuits, which they gave us a huge discount to a certain section on their website. It's like 65% off MSRP. There's some good stuff there. Now, I know it's wetsuits and there's a running page, so a lot of you guys are going to like just tune yourself out. But some of you guys have been talking about doing triathlons, have been talking about open water swimming in particular. And I got to tell you, I have never done an open water swim without a wetsuit. You definitely need it. I don't get paid to push Xterra as a brand. And I think in general, their lower end stuff is kind of like entry level stuff. It's done that way on purpose. I have sort of an entry level wetsuit that I've worn for every single, with the exception of the first Ironman I did when I borrowed someone's wetsuit. I've used Xterra, and even that was an Xterra. I've used Xterra wetsuits every single Ironman I've done. I've never had a problem with it. Knock on wood. It's been 3 years of triathlons, and I keep going. I have two Xterra wetsuits that I own because I bought a large and then needed an extra large because I got fat. But they've worked well for me, you can spend more money, and I'm sure that they make more top of the line ones too. But if you're an entry level triathlete, Xterra wetsuits could be the way to go, and you're getting a great deal through Team Ordinary over at our webpage. Let's do the roll call. I know I'm kind of like behind on time here now. I got to do some catch up. The roll call for the week. This is all the Team Ordinary people who are out there racing today, November 15th. Ron Booz in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. You guys find the greatest places to do races, I swear. The Dollywood Light the Way 5K. Good luck to you, Ron, out there. A little bit shorter than your last race, I would say, huh? The 50K in Marine Corps. November 16th, so Saturday, Bill Costello is doing a hot cocoa 5K. Enjoy your hot cocoa. You need it in the Northeast, although it's starting to get a little bit warmer. We've had some really cold days, like 20-degree days recently. The big one on Saturday, Gary Talamini in Columbus, Georgia, is doing the Soldier Marathon. Gary's been training hard for that. I talked to him earlier this week. I think he's, if I'm not mistaken, he's hoping for 4.5 hours. Good luck to you out there, Gary, man. We're cheering you on. And, we know you followed the podcast for a long time. And I appreciate that. And I definitely will be tracking you if we can on Saturday. If not, we'll be anxiously awaiting your finishing post and seeing a picture of you with your medal and hopefully getting that time that you've worked so hard to get. Sunday, the Brookhaven Trail and Half Marathon in Wading River, New York. Kathleen Evers is out there doing that one. Jacob Polzin doing a full marathon, a trail marathon in Durham, North Carolina. The Durham Trail Marathon. Talked to him earlier this week. He's ready for that one. I think he's just, I don't know that he's necessarily concerned for time. Those trail runs, you never really know, right? I mean, road running, about the worst thing you're going to get is a hill. Right? Trail running, it's like, I always think of like that Indiana Jones bridge, like the rope bridge. And I fear like going over one of those if I ever did a trail race, but, or having to go through a river or lake, whatever. But, I wish you the best out there, Jacob. I know Jacob, I don't know if you've been tapering or not, buddy, but you've been on Zwift quite often for a guy who's running a marathon this weekend. I just got to say, maybe that's part of your taper. Speaking of Zwift, let me go off topic here a little bit quickly. We got a lot of group members here who are on the Zwift. Matt Shore, Jacob, Joe Bartlett, Laura Stebbins. We should do a meetup. I think I just recently noticed that they have like a request meetup page. I think we should do like a meetup ride, like a Team Ordinary ride. I think that would be super cool. And I got to look into that. Matt Shore, man, you got to be all over that, buddy. You're my bike guy. Speaking of which, I know Matt actually introduced me to a guy who's like a bike expert. We're going to have him on the podcast soon. But I haven't reached out to him. It's on my list, Matt. I promise. I didn't forget. Did I get them all? Oh, the Rock and Roll Half Marathon in Las Vegas, Nevada. Travis Heidebrink out there doing that one. Good luck, Travis. I hope you're going to be sporting the old Team Ordinary jersey. I think it would look good in the lights of Vegas. I think that's a night marathon. Two other people that I did notice on the page this week, on the group page, Michelle Thetford is actually going to be out there doing her first half marathon in Vegas at the Rock and Roll. So is actually Travis's sister. Good luck to all you guys doing, especially your first timers. That can sometimes be scary, especially if you haven't run the distance. But, if you've been training hard and you know what to do and you know what to expect and you're ready for it, man, it's going to be a great day for you guys. It's such a great accomplishment. Wish you the best of luck, Michelle and Travis's sister, whose name I do not have, but good luck, Travis's sister, out there in Las Vegas, Nevada. I mean, that sounds like a great race to do. That's on my list too. Another race that's on my list. And if I ever did an ultra, I think this would be the one that I would do. New York City Marathon, 2 weeks after New York City Marathon, they do a 60K in New York. It's a New York City 60K ultra, I guess it is. And Megan Brown, who's in our discussion group, mentioned it this morning. And I tell you, every year someone reminds me of this race. And every year I say to myself, maybe that's the one. Maybe that's my ultra that I want to do next year. Now, next year, I don't think it's going to be for me. I'm pretty much, I am committed to Philly Marathon, which is the week after. I believe that's next week. So it's typically the week after the 60K. So I can't see myself doing an ultra following that up with another marathon. So it's not going to be the year for me next year. I think it's not like the New York City Marathon, guys. It's not the 5 boroughs. It's not what you think. It is a great race, and running through Central Park is awesome. I think a lot of ultras are on trails, and I'm just not a trail runner right now. It might be something I wade into eventually. I haven't done it yet. It's not on my radar right now. So to do a road race, ultra marathon, 60K in a town that I'm very familiar with, New York, where I've run races before. I've run in Central Park, and I got to be honest, I don't know for sure, but I think that the ultra marathon is just loops in Central Park. It's like, I think the loop in Central Park, the big loop is 6 miles. So you're talking 5 big loops, if not more. Maybe it's a 60K, right? Jeez. So more, like 6 big loops in the park, which means 6 times up and down Harlem Hill. I can't imagine going up Harlem Hill at mile, 32 or whatever, however many miles are in that thing, 35. I can't. Anyway, maybe a 2-year thing for me. But anyway, the reason I mentioned Michelle's post and Megan's post, even though they're not on Team Ordinary. Well, number one, I do wish them good luck this weekend. Those are big races. Your first half marathon, that's a big race. Vegas, I tell you what, too, it's a challenge to kind of be ready for that race. You got to be in Vegas all day long, chilling out, focusing, getting ready, and then avoiding the sins, before the race. And geez, doing an ultra marathon in New York, similar thing. Got to be ready. But you both also mentioned music, and I want to talk about music quick because for me, music is an important part of training. Oftentimes. And we always get this question, by the way. The question both Megan and Michelle asked was, they were requesting songs for their day. They want to add to their set lists, their playlists for their race. And I get running with music. Especially ultra, man, that's a long day. You need a lot of songs on that playlist. The one and actually the reason I didn't respond on the discussion board myself was because I always put the same song, and I think people are getting me sick of recommending it. But it's like the song that moves me the most, which is Hall of Fame by The Script. And I'll tell you the reason why, and if you don't know, the reason why, and maybe I'll put a link to this video in the description here. Iron Man put out a video called Anything is Possible. And when I was debating with myself on whether or not I really wanted to do my first Iron Man, I was looking for the reasons to say yes, right? I was looking for things that would say, you have to do this, push you to do it. And I found this video, and it's set to the song Hall of Fame by The Script. And it just watching that video, when I watch it now, it's a little, I got to be honest, it's a little less motivating to me now. But when I was doing my first one, this video, like, it kind of just pushed me over. I just watched it and I said to myself, I need to do that. I need to do that. And I added that song to all my playlists, all of my training playlists. I have a lot of them. Although now I actually don't have many because I got a new phone and it wiped out all my playlists. Thank you, Apple. But that Hall of Fame song is on everyone. The line that gets me every single time, I'm embarrassed to say, the line that gets me every single time is, "You can walk straight through hell with a smile." It always gets to me. It always motivates me and pushes me through. It's like, because you want to be that person, right? You want to be that person that can overcome the pain and that can overcome sort of that suffering of that in-race suffering of those late miles and those training runs, those they could be short, but those high intensity training runs or training rides or whatever you're doing. And you want to push yourself and you want to get yourself through, and you hear that line. I hear that line. And it always makes me want to just work harder. I love it. I don't know. I love it. So that's my song for you guys. Now, I got to tell you, when it comes to training, there are really two types of people, right? There are music people and non-music people. It's rare that you kind of get them both. Although I kind of consider myself both. And the reason why, I used to listen to music every run, every workout, every race, all the time. And then I signed up for Ironman. And Ironman has a strict no earphones, no music rule. And for the most part, I get that, all right? Swimming, I mean, really, I don't even think that there's a device that could go out and a mile out in a lake swim and maintain like earbud swimming. That's ridiculous. But the bike, it's kind of dangerous. And I do see people riding with earphones at times on my trail. And I feel like even on the trail, that's dangerous, guys. Biking is something that you need to hear. And no, you might not be in a high traffic area, but that's not the thing. It's that one moment where a kid runs away from their parent and crosses in front of the trail and they yell, "Watch out." And if you have those things in, you can't hear. Or someone's passing you and they yell on the left and you don't move over, or you veer to the left to go around somebody else and there's an accident. It's not safe to have the music on the bike. I agree with that. The running, I wish they would let us use the music, but I do have to be honest with you too. It's a different experience taking the earbuds out, guys. It's a different experience. You kind of ingrain yourself into the atmosphere a little bit better. You get in touch with your pains and your body and how you feel and your breathing and your exertion. You just learn a little bit more about the things going on inside that make you tick when you run. And I listened to those arguments when I ran all the time with music, and I kind of pushed those aside. But if you're a runner and you run with music and you haven't tried doing a bigger, especially, I got to tell you, another one was when I did my first New York City Marathon and I'm running and I'm listening to my music. Because I trained all the time with the music. I trained being here in my own space, in my own head, trying to kind of zone out the pain and just focus on the music and let that kind of take me outside of my body and trying to get those miles done. That's part of the purpose of the music, trying to keep me occupied. And so when you train with that and you do the race, you want to race with that. You don't want to do anything new on race day. And I get that. And I did that. But I got to tell you, running through the streets in New York and seeing all the people cheer, you miss out on, you had my name on my shirt. I miss out on all the people cheering my name because I'm listening to my music. There's a band playing Enter Sandman. And as I'm running by, listening to Enter Sandman, I'm also hearing New Edition's Can You Stand the Rain, which, yes, I like. Look, it's a long day. I had a big set list. I had a lot of hours to fill. That song made the cut, but you could not get two more different songs. And the thing is, a race like New York City Marathon, you can ingrain yourself into the atmosphere and it can help push you along just as much as the music can. That being said, you do a smaller marathon without as many cheering sections and it's different. It's different. You might want that music. So I get it. For me, I'm yes and no. Depends on the situation, but I've kind of adapted to both and I feel comfortable with both. But typically the way I start training is if I pick an event out in the future. So when I did Ironman this year, I still need music for training. I will go out, when I go out on runs, I usually won't bring it because I want to make sure that I'm training myself for race day. But when I'm in the gym, I'll jack up the music sometimes. I'll put, I'll have a set list. And typically what I do is when I first start training is I dump all the songs that I could possibly dump into a playlist. I remove things like Christmas songs. Come on, you guys all got a Christmas album. You got to have one, right? I guess unless you're Jewish or Muslim, then maybe you have your own different music. But I have my Christmas album. That obviously I don't want that. I am not going to be jacked up on the bike, pushing up those hills, 300 plus watts, listening to chestnuts roasting on an open fire. That's just not going to happen. So you remove those songs. I got some other things. I got some comedy routines. And look, they all have their own place. Like if you're going to do a long ride, if you're doing like a 5-hour train or bike ride and you're inside and you want to listen to a comedy routine, that sounds like a good use of time to me. Just zone out, right? That sounds like a good use of time, but kind of don't want it on the playlist, right? If I'm just going to play this giant playlist and just keep it on random, then that's typically what I do is I download everything that's a workable song. And that list is tremendous. I don't know, maybe I have 400 songs and 300 of them make that first cut. With the Christmas songs, I have some comedy routines and maybe some, some Weird Al Yankovic or something, something that whatever's not going to motivate me. Maybe they, some slower songs that are kind of like, meaningful, but not, I have some instrumental music that I wouldn't necessarily put on my playlist. But I start with maybe 300 songs, maybe 200, I don't know. And then as the training goes on and on and on, I listen to music. I will create another playlist, and I will remove about half the songs, cut them in half, keep only the ones that I feel are moving me, that are connecting with me and keeping me training. And as I get closer to race day, I will slice that playlist up, and then race day will just be those are the songs that I got that are on my list that are motivating me at that time. I got some Eminem on there. He's, for as much as I kind of dislike him as an artist, he's got some, and I think his last album was awful. He had a Saturday Night Live appearance that was just terrible, but he's got some really good songs. He does. He's got some really good songs that always make that final cut for me. And I have like a list of, if when I do Cheshire Half Marathon, it's about a 45-minute to an hour drive for me to get there in the morning. I gotta come up with a set list to cover that time to prep me for race day. And that will be my top of the line songs. You know what I mean? So I will whittle it down and I will have, it's important. So when I'm in music mode, that's important to me. That's important to me. Make sure I get my songs down. So yes, it's a great question. We get it a lot on the page. People always kind of throwing in new songs. I always do the same song over and over and over again. And you guys are probably sick of hearing me plug it. So, a quick training update for me. Stephanie and I did kind of draw a line in the sand the other day. We have been sticking to it. Right. I said it was a 30-day commitment. It was going to be a commitment. And it hasn't been a commitment. It's been good. I'm down about 3 to 4 pounds, depending on the day, from where I was last week. Although weight is not the be all end all for sure. I feel good. I've taken 2 days off so out of the last 7 days. I've worked out 5, and those workouts have been good, not great. Good, not great. I need to work on some things. I need to build. I need to, although we're heading in the off season, building is probably not something I should be doing, but I need to kind of build up my time again and be doing 1 hour plus rides, on Zwift. I need to be doing more runs. I only did 1 run this week, which means I did 4 Zwift rides. I was supposed to do a second run, but I took the day off instead. 2 days off. I prefer taking only 1 day off. I also prefer doing 2-a-days too, especially when I'm in triathlon mode, but I'm not really there yet. I'm still kind of just starting this commitment phase all over again. And really, I think what happens is now that I'm actually in a plan and I'm doing some things and I'm working, now it's going to start getting into the routine. And what it is, I can't let myself regress. I got to let myself push forward and take what I'm doing and build on that, right? So take what you're doing and build on that. And that's kind of where I am right now. I do kind of want to update you more on training on a weekly basis. I think the reason I haven't been doing it is because my training has been very inconsistent. It's just been inconsistent. There's a lot of factors that go into it. And it's just nothing that really kind of grabs me as something I want to talk about on the podcast. I got a video coming out probably this week. We have a great podcast on Sunday. We're going to be talking to our official dietitian. By the way, she has got a team deal. If you go to the team deals page on dietitian consultations, Allison Knott, she's going to be on our podcast on Sunday. I had a laundry list of questions to ask. We're going to have a great discussion. I think I only got her for like 45 minutes, but we're going to talk about as much as possible, get as much as possible in. And her being the official dietitian, I tell you, she helped me out a ton with my Ironman training. She gave me a lot of good pointers and tips. We're going to talk about those. And I think she's going to write a blog. She'll be our guest blogger for the week next week. This past week, by the way, we had Melissa Griffin do our blog for us. Very excited about that. She did a great article on winter training and 4 ways to get motivated and stay up to date, I guess, with your winter training. A great article by Melissa. Thank you for continuing to post on our blog page. Not necessarily her in particular, but I like that we've had 3 in a row. Like, I set the weekly blog, the weekly guest blog, and my fear was that I would just do it a week or 2 and then kind of push it off to the side. But so far, so good. 3 weeks in, we've got 3 blogs. I want to thank all the people who took the time to write them. And next week, we have Allison Knott doing her blog as well. So looking forward to seeing that. Guys, a lot of moving pieces. Join Team Ordinary. Go to teamordinary.com. Check it out. Look at this great shirt you're going to get. It won't say coach, but it'll be like, come on, look at that. That's great stuff. And all best of luck to all you guys racing. We're going to have a great weekend this weekend with all you guys racing. I don't know why. I feel like a little bit off today. I don't know. Very excited and very antsy. Maybe too much coffee. Anyway, remember, every day is an ordinary day unless you make it extraordinary. So get after it, guys.